Welcome to Organizing Self and Others, another one in the series of executive execution. I'm Daniel Mueller with Solid Leaders. My pleasure to lead us through this process today. Everyone, what did you think about the section on organizing yourself and others? Your thoughts, comments, Mitchell?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Got a kick out of the story up front, but all too often, I think that's true that, there's a big blind spot we don't even realize is there. And such that we're focusing on that with our team. We don't understand that we have the same problem.
Yep. What was the story about? We just play the slideshow from the start. 5 categories of competency. We're focused on execution. This is today, May 7th, May 14th, organizing self and others. And 6th section. And this one, agree or disagree. This is from that section. It's impossible to organize others without first organizing yourself. So let's start with the executive, and then we can talk about your team and how you can be better organized, right? So what was the story about, Mitchell?
Well, it was about I'm looking for the guy's name. It was about a guy Shane, who was extremely disorganized and showed up late to meet with you, and turns out he had misplaced his keys on his desk right in front of him.
Couldn't find his keys in the stack because his desk was like so disorganized. Have you ever met anyone like that?
Yes, I'm married to one.
Me too.
Well, this is being recorded.
I know. She's not going to watch it, though.
Yeah. So it just amazes me that those people can actually function, right? So what do you think about this statement? It's impossible to organize others without first organizing yourself. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree?
Yeah, you got to model the behavior.
Got to model the behavior, right? What are some of the main ways we can become more organized? What are some of the main ways we can become more organized?
Plan.
To plan, yes. What else? Good.
Your space. Your workspace.
Organize your space. What else?
We brought it up before, the giving yourself extra time, like the starting 5 minutes after or ending early.
Yeah. I had a meeting right up until 2. So it was like, boy, if I made this at 2 o'clock, I would have been totally screwed. But 2:05 worked. Okay. Agree or disagree? An organized staff is a powerhouse of productivity, whereas a disorganized staff is normally a reflection of the executive in charge. What do you think?
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what? And someone has some noise in the background. So just mute your microphone if you got somebody talking or TV going on in the background. Okay. So I disagree with this. I disagree. Yeah, I wrote it and I disagree with myself. Why do I disagree? Let's see. Is normally a reflection of the executive in charge. I don't think, let me share my screen and I'll show you what I'm referring to. Here's the slide deck. See, normally a reflection of the executive in charge. I think that it's not necessarily a reflection. I think it depends upon how long the executive has been in place. Right? When do you think that your staff actually become a reflection of you? When do you think? How long? I don't have like the right answer, okay? I'm asking for your opinion.
I'd say when you've hired them all.
So certainly after you've hired them, right?
Yeah, because, well, yeah. you're right. I guess you could have a new hire that is bringing on maybe some old habits from a previous job. But for me, your team is a better reflection of you when you've hired them than a staff that you would have inherited.
Yeah. Okay. What else? So certainly those that you hire, you own, right? They're a reflection of you, but think about the new vice president taking over a team. Is the team truly a reflection of that VP? What do you think?
I would say not yet.
Not yet. How long do you think it takes?
Probably a couple quarters.
Couple quarters. Roger, what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say at least 6 months for sure.
6 months. Okay. John?
I think it takes as long as you kind of pay attention. What you pay attention to as an executive is what your team pays attention to. So if you don't pay attention to being organized, they will start to not pay attention to being organized.
It's interesting, right? And we can extrapolate that. I like what you said, John. We can extrapolate that to any area. Like, what about metrics? Just think about metrics for a second. So if you are metrics oriented, you're metrics driven, your staff is going to become over time metrics driven. But if you then slack off and you stop measuring, what happens?
They slack off with you.
They slack off and they get comfortable, right? And that takes a period of time. We don't know how long. I don't have the science behind it of, the studies that say it takes 6 months, a couple of quarters, but it's certainly a period of time and it's not immediate. But here's my rule of thumb. If I go into an organization, like Roger, I'm going to go in and I'm going to analyze your organization. I'm going to ask, how long have you been in charge of this organization? And you say, okay, I've been over this for 2 years. So I think that's pretty much enough time where your thumbprints are all over the culture of that organization, right? So now I can analyze your staff and I can find out all about you without even meeting you, just by interviewing your staff. And I can know how you run your organization. Now, are you organized or disorganized? Are you metrics driven or not metrics driven? Are you a punctual meeting manager, or are you sloppy, right? So I think after a couple of years, certainly you own the culture. But if you're brand new, not necessarily. So if you're brand new, that you're inheriting a culture that you have to now shape to your personality. So that's what you guys do as executives, I think, is you shape your organization to your personality and to your style. And that's normal and natural. So that's why we do so much assessment work to assess what is your organizational level. And I would love to have an assessment, and if anyone can tell me about an assessment to assess how organized you are, because that would be great. Because if you've been in place for a little while, that probably we could extrapolate that and say this is how organized your people are. Okay, let's go on to the next topic, unless you have any comments on that.
Daniel, I do have a comment.
Sure.
I think the best way to assess organization is a self-assessment. Just rate yourself. Scale 1 to 10. How organized am I? We all know how organized we are, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's go around just for grids. I love that idea. Just for grids. Scale of 1 to 10. 10 being extremely well organized. 1 being extremely disorganized. I'm just going to go right around. Mitchell?
I'd probably give myself a 7 or 8.
Johnny?
Probably an 8.
Roger,
7.
Oren,
Well, if Janae's an 8, I'm a 7.5 because I know her well.
John.
It depends on what I'm doing. If I really want to do it, I'm a 10. If I don't want to do it, I'm low.
You know, I would have the same answer too. You know, it really depends. Like I am just terrible with anything accounting and finance wise. Right? I know I should save receipts, but it's such a pain to organize receipts. So I just throw them away. And if I ever get audited, the IRS is just going to have a field day with me. Right? I just hate the details of finance and accounting. However, I'm very detailed when it comes to typos in a document. Right? So how many of you guys are 100% soft? From 0 to 100%, let me just ask. 0 to 100% soft copy versus hard copy, 100% hard versus 100% soft. John, where are you?
100% soft.
100%. Oren,
Probably 70% soft.
Roger,
Probably 50%. Right down the middle. Yeah.
Dave,
50%.
50, and Mitchell.
100% soft.
Okay, and I would say I am 95% soft. So the way of the world is going soft. So I would encourage you guys to think about that and think about how do you get to 95% soft copy? Everything. The greatest invention, in my opinion, has been the iPad with the electronic pencil that goes there. The first version didn't have that, and it was a disaster because there was nowhere to put the pen and how you plug the pen and whatever. But now I have in that little thin electronic device, I have hundreds and hundreds of books, and I have thousands and thousands of pages of documents, and I journal every single morning for a half hour, 15 minutes every night. So I've got my journal right there. I've just got everything in that iPad, and that really has replaced reams and reams of paper. And then I use Evernote. So Evernote is an amazingly good app for repository for everything. I think, Roger, you use OneNote, right? Are you Microsoft Teams?
I've been trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
OneNote.
It's a habit. You just have to, the Microsoft stuff is just not as easy to use as some other stuff. Like Evernote is easier than OneNote, but you have to go along with, like Abbott has a proprietary, like when you get with a large company, and Warren, you work in large companies too, they just won't let you use certain things. So I have a lot of clients that'll have their iPad and have their Evernote on their iPad, and they'll organize their stuff on their personal devices, and kind of circumvent the enterprise versions of things. Mitchell, what do you use to organize yourself?
Yeah, so I use OneNote like crazy, and I also have my iPad with my electronic pencil. That was a huge game changer for me, going full electronic. And I agree with you. There's things that are easier to use, but in our org, everything is so integrated with Microsoft 365 that it makes OneNote, very easy to use that way.
Yeah. Janae, you're a biz dev gal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, biz dev. And Roger, you notice, Roger, you said 50%. Were you 50% soft and hard?
Yes.
Yeah, and Janae, you were 50.
Yep.
And you notice the sales people are always like that. It's salespeople. Anyone who's sales oriented, you guys are people oriented. You want to be with people, and it's just a behavioral thing. that I find the engineering types, the accounting types, the developer types, the program manager types are much more electronic centric, right? John, you're the anomaly. You're a sales executive that is 100% soft copy.
Taken me a while.
How did you do that?
I just got tired of taking the notes. So I do it in my electronic format.
Yeah. What do you use? What are your go-to tools?
I just use Microsoft and Pro Advisor Coach tools.
Okay. But it's the Microsoft suite, so 365?
Yep.
Do you like that?
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
I think for biz dev side, the customer, like when customer meetings and meeting notes and all that, it's distracting to type notes on the computer. So that's why I've always paper and then transfer it or just taking a photo of it or something. Or, and then typically you got to load that into a CRM.
Right. So, Janae, consider looking into a tablet,
Okay.
some sort.
That way you can write the notes with the stylus and then convert it. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't show you because I could do a demo right now, but what you would see
I've seen it. Mm-hmm.
is I'm writing, I tap with my finger and it automatically changes my handwritten, almost flawless handwriting recognition to text
Okay.
instantly. Now I've got this nice typed text and then one other click and I can export it either as a Word doc or as a PDF. So you can take your notes from your customer, you can transfer it at real time with the customer. While you're there with the customer, transferring in real time from cursive to type text. And then at the end of your customer meeting, hit an email to yourself, attach a Word doc with it. And now in your email, you've got this Word doc that you just simply open up, grab the text, paste it into your CRM, like Salesforce or whatever. So anyway, we're talking about organizing ourselves and others, right? And we're talking about getting organized ourselves. Anything we can do. Things are moving faster and faster and faster. And who has the time to, after a sales meeting, type up notes? I don't know. It's hard, right? It's really hard. So something to think about. Okay, managing meetings. Let me share this, and we got some good questions here. Now, we had a module already on managing meetings, right? But what did you learn from that section we covered for those people that did cover it on managing meetings? What did we learn from the managing meeting section? What was
Publish an agenda.
Yeah.
Start on time.
Accountability.
Accountability, absolutely. You gotta be organized, and I'll tell you what, it is really a pain. And Susan is here. I'm gonna promote her to panelist so she can talk, and somebody else is here. I'm gonna allow to talk, whoever's dialed in. It's really a pain, in my opinion, to put together an agenda before a meeting. And I don't like it. But once you get used to it, it's not so bad. It's just, typing a couple of quick lines, but then now you've done your agenda. It doesn't have to be this fancy formal thing, right? You can type an agenda in the calendar invite. You could say purpose of the meeting or agenda, see notes below. And then in the notes section of the calendar invite, I see Roger shaking his head. Is that what you do, Roger?
Usually I start off with agenda to follow, because I'll schedule a meeting, make sure that I've got everybody's time, it's blocked, And then I figure as long as they get the agenda the day before, then that's fine.
Right. Sure. So there's two techniques, my technique or Roger's, right? So agenda to follow, but you'll set out the agenda for the meeting, or type the agenda right in the calendar invite. Right?
And I'll do that. I'll put it in the calendar invite and then send an update. So it like pings everybody's calendar one more time too, as a reminder, like this call is tomorrow. I'm prepared.
But it really is best practices. If you get into that, just never have a meeting without an agenda. The mark of a top executive. Absolutely. Okay, so agree or disagree with this statement. Executives also need great meeting follow-up skills. All your preparation will be for nothing if you do not ensure accountability for tasks assigned during meetings. All your preparation will be for nothing if you do not ensure accountability for tasks. So agree or disagree with that?
Agree.
100%.
So I'm not being histrionic here. You agree. It's like you're wasting your time. You had a great meeting and there was no accountability for follow-up. So what we were talking about that earlier, how we opened this meeting, right? So that your culture is one where the boss never follows up on action items. So he just doesn't know that I didn't do my actions, right? So Mitchell, especially for you, I think you just have to have a way of capturing every single action coming out of a meeting and getting to a place where you're always asking your people, did they do it or not? A little quick rabbit trail. There is a great book called Traction, Traction. John, this is especially for you.
I've got it.
Okay. You got the book?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you read it yet?
Most of it. Yeah,
You like it?
I do.
It's very simple, right?
Mhm.
Simple but profound. So for everybody else, here's the deal: is Gino Wickman created this thing called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And basically he pulled together best practices of how you operate an organization. Now, really, these are best practices of any size organization, but particularly an entrepreneurial one. And the reason why it's entrepreneurial, it's simple, right? Entrepreneurs are not going to implement a very complex system. So he made it super simple. So there's nothing profound about the EOS. It's just that it's all in one place. And you give your people the same language. So it starts with 30,000 feet, vision, mission, values. And then 10-year plan, 3-year plan, 1-year plan, quarterly goals, and a stand-up at a regular meeting. What he's famous for is the level 10 meeting. And the level 10 meeting, yep, there's the book, Traction. The level 10 meeting is what each one of you can have with your team. So Mitchell and Roger, especially you guys, you could be having level 10 meetings. Now, I will show you really quick what the meeting structure is. It's nothing super profound, but he has a very strong standard discipline, if you will, to the meeting, and because of that, the meetings really work. So he's like famous for this. Let me projects. This would be Traction EOS implementation, VTO Traction Organizer. Yeah, here's something that I can share my screen with and show you. Share. So this is one of his tools. Very, very simple. So he talks about having vision, data, processes, traction, issues, people. So just your whole business wrapped around these key, and then to capture core values, core focus, 10-year target, marketing strategy, your 3-year picture, and then an organizer to say, what's your 1-year plan? What's the rocks for the quarter, the key deliverables? What's your issues list, right? Okay, stop share. And then now I'm gonna find the next document really quick for you. And so this, he gets into a little bit more the weekly meetings. So this is called a level 10 meeting. And I'll tell you why it's called a level 10 meeting. View, I have to enter full screen. I have to blow it up because you're not gonna be able to see this. Ooh, how do you make it bigger? This is weird. She has it so small. Let me find a different one. Nope, that's not it either. Yes, it is. Meeting pulse. I think you can see this. I don't know. I'm sorry if you can't, but here, can you all see this? Is this too small?
Too small.
Yeah, too small.
Okay.
Oh, that's better.
A little better.
Okay.
There you go.
You see it? Okay, so basically here is the structure for a 1.5 hour meeting. He says, start with 5 minutes of segue, rapid fire good news. So you go around the team, okay? You got 30 seconds each. So Roger, good news. And Roger says, hey, I got my new motorcycle yesterday. Great news. John, good news. Hey, I'm taking my wife out on our anniversary. Good news. Oren, hey, we hit our numbers for the quarter, whatever, right? But you just go around your team as the icebreaker, right? And it's rapid fire good news. It really works well. And they can say anything they want. It could be something personal. Hey, my wife just had a baby. Or something business. Hey, I just hit my numbers, but whatever. Rapid fire good news. Personal and business best. No discussion on topics, no talking about it. It's just go around and say, give me some good news. Don't let them go into a story, right? Let me tell you the story of what happened. And here's the birthing pains. No. It was a boy or a girl. Come on, go. So it's quick. You have 5 minutes for your whole team. Max. Okay, scorecard. So you say on track or off track. So you got a scorecard of here is the score, the way we keep score in the organization. It could be how many sales proposals you got out, how many customer visits, whatever. But each person has their scorecard, and are you on track or off track regarding your scorecard? They don't get to discuss it. They just say on track, off track. So there's the beauty of this discipline, of this level 10 meeting, is that there's no discussion on this initial part. Zero discussion. It's just you're either on or off. Now, if they're off track, it drops down to the issues list. So you capture it as, okay, we'll discuss that later in the meeting. But you're not going to discuss it right here. Now, this is rocks. They call it rocks. These are your objectives for the quarter, objectives for the month, whatever you're doing. But it's on track, off track, same thing. So you're not going into discussion, which derails meetings and sucks up so much time, where everyone has to go and say, yes, I'm on track. I actually hit my numbers. And because of ABCGEF, story here, not adding any value to the meeting, but we get 5 minutes worth of story, and everyone has to tell a story, and now we're 20 minutes into the meeting, and we really haven't produced anything useful. Okay, rocks, same thing, on track, off track. So that's their system, is you're either on or you're off. And this is a company rack for company rock for an executive team, or it could be a departmental rock, right? So for Roger, each individual has their individual on-track, off-track stuff, but also departmentally, maybe you have some initiatives that involve your whole team, right? Mitchell, you have initiatives that involve your whole team. So again, on track, off track. And then headlines, what's news? So any headlines, any news around the table. Yeah, Sally quit. Yeah, I hired a new person over here. Whatever, but headlines. And then to-do lists. So there's a to-do list that comes out of the meeting. So in your meeting, you're capturing what to do in time for next meeting. So this is a very tactical 7-day action plan. And again, 5 minutes is allotted to it, on track, off track, or done or not done. Sorry, done or not done. Then you have the bulk of the meeting to identify, discuss, and solve. So all of these things that are off track or not done get dropped to an issues list. These are issues. You didn't do what you said you were going to do, whatever. But now you have 15 issues, 20 issues. Here's the key. Roger, for your meeting, you pick the 3 things or 5 things you want to talk about. So you pick the issues to solve in front of the team. So some of them that just because someone didn't complete something over here, but it may not get discussed over here. And this is IDS, they're famous for this. Identify the root cause, not just identify the problem, but what is the root cause? So it's root cause analysis. Why did you not get your quota? Why did you not hit your quota? And now you're doing a deep dive root cause analysis in front of everybody about one person on the team that didn't hit their number or their minimum acceptable performance, if that's how you do your meeting. Okay, and then discuss and solve, driving to. So anyway, they're famous for this level 10 meeting, and the rules: same day, same time, same agenda, start on time, end on time. It's never canceled, never moved off of a time, no matter what. It just happens unless you have like COVID-19 and 3 of your 4 people have COVID-19. Okay, but death.
I'll ask a question real quick. So one of the things that I've struggled, and I know others have probably also in startups, is when you have critical players like a CTO that's the mad scientist and will not show on things. And it doesn't matter what you do.
Will not show up?
Yeah.
To meeting?
Or wants it on their terms. It's a power play. Yep.
Well, you know what I would say to that is that there is a long unemployment line, but he should certainly be on it.
Well, I agree. It's hard to remove founders, though.
Not if you have an executive coach coaching the CEO. Just refer me in. But no, I mean, I have taken out more founders than I can count.
Good to know.
I really have. So in
Really
your
good
next
to know.
deal, if you're going to go early stage, Oren, just bring me in. In fact, I'm taking out one right now.
Wow.
He does not know it.
Well, if I go into an early stage, I will definitely use you for coaching in that realm.
We have this thing called founder syndrome, right? For a reason. That's why we call it founder syndrome. You know, you move the VP of engineering to become CTO and don't have him have any direct reports. Okay, so any questions on the level 10 meeting? So at the end of this meeting, you go around and say, okay, rate the meeting. Everybody rate the meeting. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best meeting you've ever had. And that's where the level 10 nomenclature comes from. You want everyone to be able to say, it was a 10. Now, I have not had any level 10s. From all the implementations I've done in my career, never has a level 10 been achieved. So it's to be aspired, but your team is rating the quality of your meeting. So if you pick up nothing from this at all, except that technique, at the end of every meeting, just ask your people to rate your meeting. How was this meeting? Scale of 1 to 10. Roger. You got something?
It's a 10. Are you kidding me, Daniel? Congratulations.
I thought you were going to say something. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was going to ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in order to implement this, you'd have to do what we're doing right now with your staff and sit down and review this template and say, look, so the next meeting we have, this is the way it's going to flow. So be prepared for these steps along the way. So they're not blindsided. They come prepared and ready to roll.
That's right.
And or publish an agenda that looks like that.
Just like that. And there's two more things that you do, Roger. You assign a scribe and you assign a facilitator. So you have one of your people facilitating the meeting and running the meeting, not you. And you have one of your people scribing the meeting, capturing all the to-do items, not you. So it gets you able to sit back, relax, and participate in the meeting. It keeps two of your people for sure engaged and not doing their own emails during the meeting, right? So it's very, very effective for keeping people engaged. And so you want to pick the right person to facilitate, the right person to scribe. But yes, and you could do parts of this, right? You could do just the design. If you take only one thing away from this, Roger, it's design a prefab agenda and have that same agenda every single time, and then you're just dropping into the agenda things. You could steal just the idea of the good news opener. You could steal the last part, which is the rating the meeting on a scale of 1 to 10. You could have 5 minutes templated in every single meeting where you review to-do items, Mitchell, right? That would be very, very good. The last thing Mitchell should do when he's running a meeting, I mean, the thing he does at the end of every meeting is, okay, let's review to-dos. Okay, what I hear is, Oren, you're supposed to do this by ABC date. Yes? Yes. Oren says yes. John, by XYZ date, you're doing this. Yes? Yes. Roger, by GEF date, you're doing XYZ. Yes? And everyone is now hearing people's to-dos and they're being held accountable. And you're reviewing it next time. Right? Or maybe you even ask the question, who didn't complete their to-dos from last time? And you have the list. And then you just have people fess up. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of doing this, but the point is increasing accountability in your meetings. Yes?
Yes.
Daniel, there's another good best practice for that is share your vision and mission for your team at the beginning of each meeting. And go around and have different people share the vision and mission so they speak it and they start to feel it and they start to buy into it if they haven't already.
Yeah,
great practice.
That's a great technique, and each one of you can have a vision for your organization, right? So it may not be for the company, but Roger, for your group, right? Your team. What's our vision for our team? To be the best ABC in the GEF space, right? Mitchell, what's your vision for your team? You could have a rallying cry as well. So absolutely, you could ask at the beginning of every meeting, or you could call on somebody and say, okay, icebreaker, what's the vision? I'm calling on Roger. Roger, what's our vision statement for our team? So yeah, very much so. Organized spaces, let's go to this. So what are the many spaces we can organize? Let's brainstorm a list of the top 10 spaces you can think of to organize. Spaces to organize.
My desk.
Yes.
Desk, yes. What else? Computer. What else? Come on.
Your briefcase or backpack or whatever it is.
Yeah. Files.
Yep. What else?
Phone.
apps.
Yep.
Your email.
Yep. Yes. Right. So look at it and which is your most disorganized area? So I'd like everyone just to yourself right now, tell yourself, what's my most disorganized area? And then make a commitment to organize that space. Make a commitment to address that space. Now, what are ideas of how you can better organize your spaces? Just some random ideas. What can you do to better organize your space?
Dedicate time daily.
Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I think that's the right answer of some type, and it may not be daily though, but it takes time. So I would suggest this: block something on your calendar for that thing you just came up with in your head, and it's okay. Organize the middle compartment in my car because it is a disaster, right? And just put it on the calendar. 30 minutes, and you're going to feel so much more together if you do that, right? You will, won't you? Sure you will. Okay. Let's go on to El Nexto. So organizing spaces. We did that. Here. Design personal organizational systems. What is your favorite personal organizational system? I love this question because I love to find new systems. So I want to hear something new today that I can try. You know, for me, I already told you Evernote is such a favorite because it is incredibly easy to search anything. I just make a note and then I go into the search bar to search and it finds all my notes that relate to that. You know, I have my banking, right? I have lots of different bank accounts. All I have to do is type the word bank in Evernote and it comes with all my banks, all the information. It's just great. So what are some of your favorites? Let's just go around. Favorite go-to organizational tool?
I got nothing. That's part of my problem. You know, I think I tend to use email for personal. As things come in, I save an email and I know there's a file or something attached there. I've had it on my to-do list to get better with Google Docs. I use Gmail, so I want to do more in Google Docs or Google Drive on a personal side of things. That'll relieve a lot of stress. And it's similar work-wise. You know, I just have my laptop and I got files and folders all over the desktop. And then we're switching from Box, which I use with my team, over to OneDrive, or I think it's SharePoint is what it is. But
Sure.
in the midst of undergoing a change there.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard, and it produces stress, and it produces inefficiency, and it produces it prevents real peak performance. So I applaud your vulnerability for sharing that. Thank you, John. What about you? Favorite?
Yeah, I just use regular email and that's it. So I don't have a special system.
Okay. Oren, anything?
You know, I've started transitioning to the Microsoft Teams. I'm not 100% convinced, but there's a lot of it that I like with automation on messaging.
Okay, and Mitchell?
Yeah, so I use Outlook, a combination of tasks and calendar.
Okay. And Jonay?
Yeah, I mostly work off of, my email systems or Outlook or,
Right.
for personal Gmail.
Yeah. I would encourage you, just one really go-to tool that is just an extension and it's giving you an immediate access anywhere, any device. And I'm not an Evernote salesman, okay? But check out Evernote. It's on all my devices. It's instantly synchronized and available. and it just captures anything I want it to capture. I can
Daniel,
flip
you
things
can't.
to it, whatever.
Now, Evernote doesn't support the stylus or the pencil on the iPad, right?
Yeah, there's that. Uh-huh.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. But I use Nebo, Nebo for the writing
So
to. Anyway, yeah.
so you import it. Okay,
Mhm.
it's 2 apps. Got it.
Okay, moving on. Can you see structure your calendars? Okay. What is the value of time blocking? So here's the one I thought of. Okay, what is the one thing you can do more than anything else to improve your ability to manage yourself, to organize your space? Okay. And I think it's time blocking. I think it's, if you will get used to letting your calendar be your master. I mean, you're the slave and the calendar tells you exactly what to do and you're totally obedient to your calendar. If your calendar says stand up, you stand up, right? And you just put everything on the calendar. And it's fabulous because you can do incredible things if you get to that place that the calendar is your master, in the sense that it tells you what to do and you're totally obedient to it. Then, exercise, right? You just drop exercise on the calendar and you just do it because it's told you to do it. Plan date night with spouse. It's like, voila, it gets done. Why? So I'm just a strong proponent of time blocking and putting every little thing on your calendar. Because really, at the end of the day, you only have so much time. So why not schedule it to see what you really have left after you calendar like projects, right? Okay, what is margin and why is it important? So now we're talking out the other side of my mouth, which is, okay, slave to calendar, but who's in charge of my calendar? Well, that's me. And I can create margin with my calendar as well. I can block a day off. I can block a half a day off. I could say golf. I could say end work early, right? You can do anything if so you could block your calendar. So why is creating some margin in your life important? Why do you think?
Keep you sane.
Keeps you sane. What else?
Right. Maintain some balance, maintain some control.
Maintain balance, maintain control, keeps you sane. Yes? So Mitchell, are you staying sane?
Relatively speaking, yes, but with regard to margin between meetings, as the section talks about, not really.
So what can you do differently?
Well, I can put gaps between meetings to recap and prepare.
Yep.
I was really thinking about how great it would be to have an EA in this context. So my supervisor brought that, his EA makes sure that all of his meetings start at 5 after and end at 5 till,
Right.
and so that he's not late to the next one and he's got that margin.
Yep. Yep. So you can schedule your meetings like that too. The ones that you control, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah. So think about that. But I'd like everyone to take an action to, how can you improve your margin? How can you improve margin? And building buffers. And I'll leave you with a technique, okay? And I'll never forget Bert Turner with IHS. I'm sitting in his office in Houston 15 years ago. We come up with this solution, right? He invented it. In fact, everything I have to offer you has been invented by one of you. Anyway, So I was just talking to him about this whole idea of time blocking, and he said, you know what? I bet I can cut my hour meetings in half. I said, great idea. Why don't you try that? His next coaching session, he was transformed. All of his hour meetings went to half hours. I said, great. What about the half-hour meetings? Cut them to 15. He did, right? He started micro-calendaring. He was putting 20-minute meetings, 40-minute meetings on his calendar. So instead of which John, it got me thinking about a 45-minute coaching session, right? Right now I do half hours or 1 hours, but we could do a 45-minute, right?
Right.
45-minute and a 15-minute, 15-minute checkpoint, maybe. Anyway, bottom line is that you can do that. You can micro calendar. You can start getting more specific. The default of every meeting has to be an hour is a myth. Okay, we're 2 minutes overtime. Parting thoughts, anyone? Parting thoughts, comments?
I can't wait to implement some of this. Are you able to share the Excel
Yeah.
file with the meeting that you showed us, Daniel, or is that?
Yeah. No, I can do that. Would you like that?
I would,
Please.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay. This is an Excel spreadsheet. File, share, send workbook, right? I think that's what I have to do is send the workbook. Is that
So while you're doing that, one comment on organizing meetings, sending agenda and stuff. So from BizDev side, that's a requirement for customer meetings. I've used the Miller-Hyman tools, not in their entirety, but it makes you prepare and think about what you have to accomplish in that meeting with the customer and what's the minimum thing you're going to walk out with.
right? Miller-Hyman.
I've always used that tool. It's been great.
Roger, I'm sending this to Abbott. Is that all right?
Yep, thanks.
Okay. John. Now, guys, this is confidential, and this is an organization that I coach, and she is in Africa. She's running a consulting firm in Africa, and her name, her name's not on it, but it's Verdant Consulting, and she did a really good job on this, so I'm sharing this. Oren, I got you. Mitchell, I've got you. Mitchell. Craddock. Jode, I don't have your email. I don't know what your email is.
Okay.
Jode,
I can follow up with Oren. Yeah.
is it
Cut
Jode?
off, Daniel.
What's that?
I have to cut off. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm sending this out now to everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Good day.
Thank you.
Tool. On its way to everybody. Thank you, Janae.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.